Shauna Jackson has been a Toastmaster for 4 whole weeks. Yep. Today she will be giving her Icebreaker speech. So timer, please do not hit that contraption that goes, Here is Shauna with her speech titled, Am I Worthy? Please give a warm welcome to Toastmaster Shauna Jackson.
Good morning, Toastmasters. Good morning. As many of you know, I am not ready for today. But we are here and we are going to do it. And I appreciate your patience and understanding. I titled it, Am I Worthy? Because that is a question I have asked myself since my earliest memory. It is something that, because I didn't grow up with family, I have my dad's family in Washington, my mom's family in New Jersey, and where do we move? Florida. So at a really young age, I didn't have family, I didn't have that support, so I made it my mission, my life, my purpose to prove myself to everybody. I would literally do everything I could if that's what I thought they wanted, whoever they were, right? To the point where at 14, I got my first job, so I didn't have to burden my mom any further. I didn't want her to have to buy everything for me. At 15, I had 2 jobs, got my first car. At 16, I had 3 jobs, paid rent, paid for our cell phones, and on occasion, I went to school. Not that often, but I did go. I did graduate. And by the time I was 20, I graduated college, was in a very unhealthy relationship, and pregnant with my first child. Still at this point, I did not feel worthy. How in the world could I be a parent? I don't know what I'm doing. I have nobody to go to, no help, but I would not leave my kid alone. Obviously, I want them to feel better than I do. I want them to feel more valued than I do. And I had a great job at that time. I was managing 3 retail stores. Obviously, I went to college, but I quit all of that to be there for my child because I did not want them to be alone. So I became a bartender. You know, you can do that at night and then be home with your kids during the day. I felt like that was a great balance because they were my priority, right? So what I did was I found out then I was pregnant again, baby number 2. Still bartending, but there with my children during the day. Then comes baby number 3. And then baby number 4, like clockwork, every 2 years. It was insane. First I had 2 redheaded boys every September, September 5th, September 9th, and then 2 brunette girls, October 23rd and October 26th. It was insane, not intentional, I don't understand it. Crazy thing. But at this time, I started to notice that family of love that I wanted, that culture of creativity and enthusiasm and compassion, it wasn't there. It was non-existent. We lived in a home full of anger, judgment, and fear. And so I made the hardest choice of my life. I chose to leave my husband. Sorry. I wanted to create that home that my kids deserved. I did not want my girls to learn certain behaviors they needed to accept, and I did not want my boys to see the behaviors they were learning on how to treat women. Though it was not easy, again, no family, no support here, I did it anyways. The art community in Orlando gave me that family. They gave me that strength. At that time, not only was I bartending, I was an artist. Not because I was good. Please do not get that mixed up. I was not a good artist, but it was an outlet, and it was a place my kids could enjoy too. And there were still kids in the room, plenty of art shows for kids, which is a great outlet for kids as well. So they could make money, I could make money, and we could take the world on. And we did. We really created a culture of love in our home. And it was awesome. We gardened, we went to nonprofits, and we volunteered our lives away because I was super broke. So our fun times were playing in the rain and volunteering. We would write books, not good books, but we would write books. We would draw and paint all the time. And then reality sank in. The home we were renting went into foreclosure, and we had a very short period of time to find somewhere to live. Being the person that I am and having to prove to my kids that I deserve their love, I found a really crappy apartment for us to move into, took all my tax money, and I paid to go get it. Packed all of our stuff up in the U-Haul, dropped my kids off at school, super excited to create this culture of home and love. Go to my apartment that I just paid for. Key in my hand, paint bucket in the rest, because again, we're artists, so it's gotta be colorful. Go to open my door. What do I see? Not my apartment. I see holes, dead rats, dead bugs. My kids are not coming home to this. So I walked out. Go to complain, and that was the only room they had apparently. Clearly, I'm not bringing my kids back to this. They deserve more. So I'm sitting in the parking lot in my hot U-Haul, rehearsing my answers to the questions my kids are gonna have. Mom, where are we gonna live? What are we gonna do? 0 answers. I have nothing to tell them. So we lived with all of our stuff in our U-Haul for another week. However, that next day, the most important event occurred. I signed up for an art show, and I met this man. And he was fine, and I was fearless. So I asked him out. After all this stuff that happened in my life, I could give 0 forks, you know what I mean, no cursing here, about what happened. So I asked this man out. We danced the night away. We went to float on the beach at nighttime. He watched for sharks. I floated. And that was the start of something that I never would have imagined. That next week, we learned that we had very little time to find a place, still all of our stuff in the U-Haul, and this man offered to help us find a home. I don't deserve that. I did not deserve that. I could not accept that. I couldn't even understand how in the world somebody would be able to offer me that. Why? But I knew my kids deserved it. So I reluctantly accepted his offer. He co-signed on that home. I couldn't pay him back. Again, I just met him. So clearly he had to meet my kids. He came over to my house, picked me up for our second date. I introduced him to my kids. I go inside to grab something, and my daughter whispers in my ear. She says, "Mom, I like him. He's nicer to you than Daddy was." And that's when I knew I made the right choice. If I could have built a contraption to make myself be this perfect human that I thought everybody else would have, I would have done it. But in the end, we're all human, and there's no such contraption, although I wish there were still. And what my daughter said that day gave me that feeling of release that I never knew that I needed. She was 4 when she said that, 4 years old. So yes, we have been married for a few months now, but together for 9 years. Thank you very much, Toastmasters.